Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Halo Idiots. In this video, we're going to be discussing the second part of the rulings for my Halo Fleet Battle series. So, we're going to be discussing specifically the firepower rating chart and the setup of the game. So, we're going to start with the firepower rating chart that you see in front of you. So, most roles in Halo Fleet Battles will be used with a Halo die, and they'll start on your default roll of an exploding roll or a roll 4. What a roll 4 basically states is for every exploding roll, otherwise known as a 2, you can re-roll one of your misses. Now, certain circumstances will cause the chart to go up or down. For example, if I were shooting a Covenant Plasma Lance at, per se, a marathon, at long range, my roll would go down to a 3. What a crushing roll does is it doesn't allow me to re-roll. Now, in another example, if I were shooting UNSC missiles at long range against CCS battlecruiser, they would go up 1 to a devastating roll. And a devastating roll, shown on the chart right here, would be showing that you could also re-roll skulls instead of misses. Also, there's the weaken roll, which all your 2s count as 1s. That would be a really bad shot, but sometimes you need to do it just to get some extra damage. And if your firepower rating goes all the way down to a 1, you can't even roll. For more reference on firepower rating and ships, use the reference sheet. I use the reference sheet in every game because it really just helps out. But right here shows what all the weapons do and their +1s and -1s. Okay. Now let's discuss the setup. For the first part of the setup, you're going to want to choose your commanders. Or not choose commanders at all, but I would recommend choosing commanders because they're very useful in the game. So out of the core box, you'll have Rio Bertomi and Michael Stanforth, so you'll probably be choosing them if you choose to choose them. Or you can choose the generic commander, which I'll leave a link in the description that shows where the generic commanders are, but they are in the errata list and used for tournament play. So, when using these commanders, they each have their special roles that you can use and special abilities for these die, which we'll get into in the order dice phase in the next video. But they also allow you, most importantly, to add a Spartan or Zealots to your fleet. In most standard games, you're going to be playing 1,000-point games, so you want to get exactly to 1,000 or right under it so that you have the best advantage that you can. Each one of these commanders are worth 100 points, so that leaves you with 900 points right out the gate. If you want to take a Spartan for Michael, that leaves you with 800 points out the gate. And you can take up to 4 Zealots for Rio, so that would leave you with 780 points out the gate if you choose to take all 4. But that's personal preference if you would choose to take any. Now, we're going to go into discussion about battle groups. Battle groups are what's comprised of BR ratings, which is battle group ratings. Each ship has a specific battle group rating. For example, the CCS battlecruiser has a battle group rating of 3. Your BR cannot exceed 6, so your maximum is 6. But you can build up to 6 or under 6 as long as you meet these circumstances. For every medium or large ship you need to have one small. So I can make this a battle group, and it would be a BR of 5. Or if I wanted to, I could have 2 of these, and it would be a perfect BR of 6. I could also do something along the lines of put these 2 together, and it would be a cheaper battle group, and it would be a battle group of 4. Or I could throw another Corvette squadron in and get a battle group of 5. Or I could even throw 3 Corvette squadrons in and get a battle group of a perfect 6. Now, just like for when building a standard battle group, every time you have one medium or large ship, you need one small ship to complement it. For every standard battle group you make, you're allowed to complement it with a specialist battle group. So for every one standard battle group you have, you're allowed one specialist battle group. Specialist battle groups can be found in pages 125 for the UNSC and 121 for the Covenant in your core rulebook. I'm not really going to go over them, although I will say it might be pretty difficult if you bought the Ensign Edition to make specialist battle groups, because you won't have as many ships, but it's still possible for some of them. After you've formed all your battle groups, now look at each element. Some of them may have hangars, and some of them may have boarding craft. Also, some of them may have both. Let's look at the UNSC Epoch here, for it does have both. It has 6 hangar slots, which allow you to place 6 flight tokens on the ship. Keep in mind, however, when you place the ship down, you have to place the flight tokens within 8 inches of the ship, and they will be needed to form into a legal wing. So keep that in mind when choosing your flight tokens for the ship. If you're going to run sabers, also keep in mind that they cost 2 hangars each. Now let's look at the boarding craft. The UNSC Epoch has 3 boarding craft. This will allow you to place 3 boarding craft on the ship. If you would like to substitute one of these boarding craft for a Spartan, you can do so. Same with the elites and their ships. If you have a ship that has boarding craft, you may swap out one of the boarding crafts for a zealot. The next step in Halo Fleet Battles is choosing your play area. The minimum play area standards are 3 feet by 3 feet, but the game is recommended that you play on a 4 by 4 surface. I personally play on this 3 by 5 surface, and it works perfectly in my opinion. After you've chosen your surface, you need to split it into 4 quadrants. Conveniently for me, this table is already split into 4 quadrants. For each quadrant, we'll start with this quadrant here, you and your opponent will roll a Halo die. For every failure or miss, nothing happens. But on a success, you or your opponent, whoever rolled the success, must place an obstacle. If you roll an exploding success, or your opponent rolls an exploding success, you or that person are allowed to choose if you'd like to place an obstacle. And then you'll have to do it for all the sides. After the quadrants have been decided, and the amount of terrain being placed on the playing field has been decided, you need to choose which terrain you'd like to use, and your opponent also needs to do the same thing. Each one of them has their own nasty little ability. We'll start with the asteroid field. When you shoot through an asteroid field, it puts a -2 to your firepower rating. And if you don't move half speed, you take 10 attack die at a firepower rating of 4. If you choose the gaseous cloud, my favorite, shooting through it only has a -1 penalty, and you're allowed to move through it with no problems and effects. The debris field, when you shoot through it, it does the -2 penalty, just like the asteroid field. But however, if you move through it faster than half speed, you take 15 die at a firepower rating of 3. Wreckage, in my opinion, the most difficult thing to deal with. However, they are in the smallest type of terrain there is, so there is that to the advantage. But when you're shooting through them, it's a -3 penalty to your firepower rating. So if you're not shooting at a 5, you're not going to be able to shoot. And when you move through them, you take 15 die at a firepower rating of 5. Space stations, well, you can't shoot through them. And if you were to wreck into a space station, the station is destroyed and your ship is destroyed. Planets, you can't shoot through them. And if you wreck into them, you're just destroyed and the planet stays there. After you and your opponent have finished rolling and placing the obstacles in their designated locations, you and your opponent will then grab your order dice for your commander. So we'll take the assumption that you've taken Rio Baratomi and Michael Stanforth as your commander. That will each give you 5 order die. Now you roll the order die. For each command icon, you get a point. The UNSC got 3, the Covenant got 2, so the UNSC wins this round. And they get to choose which side of the board they want to set up. Say this side is plagued with 2 obstacles and 2 obstacles there, and this side's completely wide open. Well, the UNSC might want to choose this side so that they don't have to deal with flying through the obstacles. If there is a tie, re-roll again. After the die have been rolled, and the winner has chosen their side, the loser now chooses if they would like to deploy first or second. To deploy, you choose one of your battle groups and place it within 8 inches from the edge of a table. After you have successfully placed all your battle groups on the table, you may now begin the game. This is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that it explained a little bit about Halo Fleet Battles. Our next video will be discussing the order dice phase and a little bit about wings.